Beneath the golden sands of Egypt, under the shadow of the pyramids, and the watchful eyes of gods carved in stone, lies a story rarely told. We think of ancient Egypt as a land of mystery, wisdom, and majestic pharaohs. But hidden inside its temples and whispered through its hieroglyphs are secrets that even today feel disturbing, shocking, and scandalous. These are the stories of desire, ritual, power, that turned sex into something more than pleasure. It became a weapon, a ceremony, even a curse. Tonight, we step into the dark heart of Egypt's past to uncover the most horrific and scandalous sexual practices of ancient times. Brace yourself, because the Egypt you thought you knew is about to change forever. Imagine the Great Nile, flowing endlessly like the lifeblood of civilization. To Egyptians, it was sacred, a gift of the gods. But here is the first scandal. Some rituals claimed that the Nile's very fertility depended on sexual acts of the pharaoh himself. According to certain myths, the king would symbolically pleasure himself into the river, because his seed was believed to mirror the creative power of the god Adam, who was said to have created the world by spilling himself into the void. In one preserved papyrus, the god proclaims proudly that he brought the universe into being through his own hand. And so, the pharaoh, seen as a living god, repeated this ritual in ceremonies, ensuring Egypt's survival. What began as a myth became an act of divine duty. Horrifying, perhaps. But to the ancients, it was life itself. And the scandals don't stop there. Within the towering palaces of Egypt's rulers, a darker truth lurked: royal incest. Pharaohs, desperate to keep divine blood pure, often married their sisters, daughters, even mothers. Tutankhamun himself, the boy king, was the child of incest, and his fragile body bore the marks of generations of inbreeding. To Egyptians, this wasn't grotesque. It was sacred. The gods themselves, like Osiris and Isis, who were brother and sister, yet husband and wife, set the divine example. The royal family copied it, believing that their own scandalous unions kept them closer to godhood. But behind the golden masks and lavish tombs was the grim reality: deformities, early deaths, and dynasties crumbling under the weight of their own secrets. Now picture the great temples of Karnak and Luxor, walls echoing with chants, torches flickering in the night. Among the rituals of worship, some were drenched in scandal. Fertility rites performed to awaken the gods often involved symbolic acts of intimacy before statues of deities. Some historians whisper of priestesses, sometimes called God's wives of Ammon, holding power in ways that shocked even their own people. Were they spiritual leaders, or were they forced to act in ways we can barely imagine today? Ancient graffiti and secret texts hint at temple practices that blurred the line between holiness and corruption. But the most scandalous stories of all came not from rituals, but from accusations. Whispered rumors that spread like fire through the streets of Thebes and Memphis. In one tale preserved on papyrus, a pharaoh's wife was accused of plotting against him by seducing palace guards. In another, priests accused women of enchanting men with magic spells woven into amulets and ointments, claiming they used their beauty not just to lure, but to control. In ancient Egypt, intimacy was never simple. It carried political weight, spiritual meaning, and dangerous consequences. And then, there was bestiality. As shocking as it sounds, ancient texts mention humans and sacred animals entangled in acts we would never dare to show today. The goddess Hathor, depicted as a cow, was linked with fertility. In certain myths, gods took animal forms to seduce humans. The story of Anubis, the jackal-headed god, is filled with symbolism of death and desire. Though the Egyptians cloaked it in myth and metaphor, the imagery they carved onto temple walls leaves no doubt. They were unafraid to mix the boundaries of human and beast. But perhaps the most chilling scandal of all lies in the story of the god Osiris. Betrayed and murdered by his brother Set, Osiris was dismembered and scattered across Egypt. His wife Isis gathered the pieces and reassembled his body, all except one part, which the fish of the Nile had eaten. Osiris's body was torn apart, and one piece could never be found. Yet Isis, with her powerful magic, restored him just long enough to give life to their son. Horus. Imagine this tale being told in a candlelit temple, priests chanting, the people gasping at the audacity of a goddess creating life from a corpse and a false phallus. To the Egyptians, it was divine. To us, it's horrific. And yet, these myths guided real rituals. Statues of Osiris were sometimes buried with clay phalluses, symbolizing resurrection through forbidden acts. In festival processions, the missing organ was paraded through villages, cheered as a symbol of rebirth. What today might seem grotesque was, for them, the very key to eternity. The scandals didn't stop at temples. Even in everyday life, Egyptians pushed boundaries. Papyrus records from the Middle Kingdom reveal tales of adultery trials. Women humiliated, shaved, and beaten, while men often walked free. Ancient love poems, preserved on brittle scrolls, celebrate passion so openly that Victorian archaeologists once tried to hide them. And then there is the Turin erotic papyrus, a document so explicit and shocking that even modern scholars debate whether it was satire, pornography, or ritual instruction. Hidden in museum vaults for centuries, it depicts scenes that leave nothing to the imagination. To the Egyptians, it may have been art, comedy, or even magic. But for us, it is yet another scandal from the sands of time. Picture yourself walking through a necropolis at night. The air is heavy, the statues staring. You stumble on hieroglyphs that tell a story no tourist guide would ever mention. Rituals where sexuality was tied to death, where corpses were sometimes feared to rise with desire. One legend claims that women who died unmarried could be violated to ensure they entered the afterlife complete. Whether myth or truth, it reflects a culture where the boundaries of morality blurred in ways we cannot accept today. And it wasn't just rituals or myths. Sometimes entire dynasties were defined by scandal. Cleopatra, centuries later, used her allure not just for love, but for power, binding Rome's most powerful men to her. But long before her, queens and concubines were whispered about in scrolls and songs, accused of betraying their kings, of secret affairs in hidden chambers. Whether true or invented, the gossip shaped the fate of empires. The deeper you dig into Egypt's history, the clearer it becomes. Sex was never private. It was ritual. It was propaganda. It was scandal. It built dynasties and destroyed them. It turned gods into men and men into gods. And it left behind stories so shocking that even after thousands of years, we hesitate to tell them aloud. But here, on Throne of Scandals, we dare to whisper what others have buried. We dare to peel back the golden mask and reveal the face beneath, flawed, strange, and disturbingly human. So next time you think of Egypt, don't just picture pyramids and mummies. Picture the hidden ceremonies and temple shadows. Picture the royal family feasting while guarding their scandalous secrets. Picture the myths where gods and mortals crossed forbidden lines. Because history is not just about glory, it is about shame, secrets, and sins, too scandalous to forget. And that, dear viewer, was the dark side of ancient Egypt. The most horrific sexual practices buried beneath its sands. If you want to keep uncovering the scandals of history, the forbidden stories, the untold whispers, the secrets others fear to tell, then stay with us.
If you enjoyed diving into this strange, scandalous corner of history, make sure to unlock more secrets with us here at Throne of Scandals. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a story hidden behind the golden doors of the past, because history is full of mysteries.